Alright, what's going on, guys? It is your boy TKD123 here, back again with a video, and today let's go over some impressions of a little game we have here, of course, PlayStation exclusive, and we've made a ton of videos about it, a ton of content about this whole game and everything, and there's been a lot of discussion on the internet about its Metacritic score and all that good stuff. However, we're going to break it down here and have my impressions and my thoughts. This is nowhere near a review. I'm only about 15 hours in, give or take a few hours, you know what I'm saying? But this is nowhere near a review. This is just me, my impressions, just my overall, just kind of just, general thoughts about the game. See how I'm feeling about it. Do I like it? Do I hate it? That will all be answered here on this video. So what's going on, guys? Like I said before, and this is going to be my impressions on Days Gone. Now, I guess here I'll start off with the pros, and then we'll get into the cons, which there are a lot of, to be fair. But we have a really interesting intake that I have that I think a lot of people are very kind of surprised when I say this. But with the pros, okay, a lot of people are saying that they don't like the gameplay loop. They don't like how, the game feels and stuff like that, and what you do overall in terms of gameplay. I'm loving it, and for the first day, it wasn't grabbing me. And then something with the second day and third day and even last night, I'm definitely hooked. I love the way the game, takes you to different encampments, different feature zones. I love doing those and having strategy for that. I think a few nights ago was the first time I actually got a horde and was able to run it through an encampment and let them do the whole business, and let them take out all of the people in the encampment. I love doing that, and overall just learning how to control the freakers and even mastering hordes, which I did last night. Every time I saw a horde, I would just stay away from it for the first few days I had the game, but last night it just clicked with me and it worked super well. I think it's great overall, and so I'm loving the way the game doesn't really tell you what to do per se. It just gives you all the tools to be able to do it, and so I love how you have to kind of figure that out. Loving the way the gameplay loop is so far. I know a lot of people are saying that they don't like it, which is kind of weird to me, because I mean, so far, again, I'm only 15 hours in, and I know that this game is a very long game, so who knows how I feel about later on. But as far as right now, I'm enjoying the way the gameplay loop is currently. And so moving on, we have the story as well. Of course, Days Gone hits you right with the story in the beginning of the game, and overall I'm liking it for the most part. It's very interesting. There's a lot of cool threads that they're starting right now in the 15-hour mark that I think will have a lot of payoff in the end, and there's some that seem predictable, but there's a lot of them that just are really cool, and more specifically with like the thread of Sarah and how Deacon is still trying to achieve Sarah in a way, and also the Nero stuff and how there's this whole kind of weird thing where none of the Nero agents know what's going on really, or at least the one that we're talking to, O'Brien, doesn't know what the other Nero agents are doing, and that is a little bit spoiler territory. So I hope that was made aware. I'll probably make a little clip in the beginning of spoiler warning, but that whole Nero thing is very interesting as well, and what's happening with that whole side of everything, and also with Boozer. Boozer has a very interesting relationship with Deacon. I'm liking it a lot. I'm seeing their past here and there, stuff like that, but there is some weird things going on with Boozer and Deacon that I think it's because of a thing that is only in the beginning half of the game that I'm going through right now. I don't know if that will persist. If it persists, I'll note it in the review, but just some interesting things are going on here with Boozer and Deacon and stuff like that. And also with story, like how the other encampments kind of treat Boozer. When we have Cope, we have Tucker, and now I just got to Iron Mike's camp as well, and how they all kind of treat Deacon and how they kind of view Deacon and everything. I think it's very interesting, very cool stuff. So far, it's not anything that's blown me back, but I think they're starting threads that could potentially blow me back and really just surprise me in a lot of ways towards the end of the game. But next up here, of course, we have the somewhat second main character of this game, and that is the bike. I'm loving the bike, guys. I'm loving it as much, if not more, as my horse in Red Dead or my horse in Odyssey. I'm loving this bike, right? And there's, I think, a lot of reasons why. I think a lot of it is had to do with how the upgrades to the bike that you make, they're actually very impactful to the way the bike feels. I think that's very understated from a lot of reviews. I feel like the bike definitely is a very good thing about this game, and it feels great to drive. It feels very good to just romp over stuff, and I find myself kind of wanting to do something with the bike, and it kind of just happening. Like, I don't know if I'm just getting really in tune with the controls, or they just map the controls very well when you're riding the bike, but I am enjoying the way the bike feels overall. I think it's very cool, and there's a stark difference between when it's raining outside sand and you have the bike and you're in the mud, how much that slips and how hard it is to drift in that, versus when it's dry, you have a lot more traction. Overall, I'm loving the bike, how it feels. I think it's great. Upgrades are really great, and I'm loving the bike so far, definitely. Now, to speak about, that mud that I was saying before, the world is beautiful. It is impressive. I am just dipping my toes in. I started last night into photo mode. Posted a screenshot on Twitter. Make sure to check out that Twitter tweet down below in my Twitter. You can check out that. But I am enjoying photo mode a lot in this game. I've only done one thing yet, and usually I'm not one to do a lot of photo mode, pictures and stuff like that. But I did one last night. I enjoyed it. The world is great, and plus, to even speak about photo mode, the photo mode in this game is so in depth. It is so crazy how many options you have, because there's the main basic menu that they have for photo mode that looks just run-of-the-mill what you would see. Then they have an advanced menu as well that you can go into that has a ton of more features and a ton of more things that you can tweak and raise and lower and stuff like that with the photo mode elements, so you can do to the overall picture. It looks great. The photo mode is such a great thing that I even forgot to note here, but I'll say right now with the world, it's great. It's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is performance. I have to commend it, and I know a lot of reviews were talking about how the performance of the game wasn't that great, but I believe my perspective on the performance being a little bit more on the positive side has to do with obviously the patches that came out. I believe right now we're on 1.06 as of this recording, April 30th. So under a week, it's already gone through 6 patches, something crazy like that. So definitely, I feel like the performance has to do with a lot with the patches that they've put out for the game. But for me personally, the game's running pretty smoothly. I've had one crash. And I've had one enemy that was dead in front of me that I even walked around in a circle, but they didn't engage me. I've had that as well as one crash, and so and that's been about 15 hours. So that's been about it, honestly, in terms of any stutters or any bugs, or whatever. I have had a few stutters when I'm leaving a mission or going into a mission. I've had that before as well. That is not a loading screen. It's just the character models are frozen for a little bit, and then the game hiccups. And I am on a PS4 Pro, to note that I'm on PS4 Pro. So in case you guys are wondering, for comparison's sake. So I would say, honestly, for an open world game of this stature, I feel like that is minimal issues in terms of open world game. Some might argue that that is a lot in terms of a Sony exclusive, a PlayStation exclusive at that, a level of quality of Sony bend. People can say that, but I feel honestly, because that this game is a massive open world game, I think that those are issues that I feel that are just bound to happen generally, and I feel like that's passable in a way for the game of this stature. So I think that is not the worst thing in the world, honestly. And the last thing I want to point out that is pretty good, just menus are cool as hell. I love the menus. They're very nice swipe around, you know what I'm saying? They're just super intuitive, super nice UI and everything. So overall, I'm enjoying those things about Days Gone, but let's get on to the cons of Days Gone. I'm sure you're all wondering about that. So I think I wrote this in order that ticks me off the most, and the first one I have here is weird decisions, right? I think Days Gone has a lot of instances where they have weird decisions on when they choose to load a cutscene versus when to put you in the gameplay. I think it's very weird. There was one time last night where I was doing something very, very small. I walked into where Boozer was, and then there was a cutscene as per usual, and then there was a point where I went into a loading screen and then had a mini cutscene of just my facial expression, then it loaded, and then it put me back in the game. I think it's very, very weird how they have that structure, and there's tons of examples of that I've had while I've been playing this game. I think that just the way they're structuring loading cutscenes and gameplay is just very, very weird, and to, at that standpoint, that I don't know where I put it on, a little bit closer down the list, but loading screens, there's a ton of them in this game. There's a lot of loading screens in this game. The game loads a ton. They definitely don't do anything to hide it, honestly. I feel like the tunnels are a good way that they hide some of the loading in the open world. I feel like that is another element that why they have so many tunnels in the game. But I feel like those are near, at least the one that I'm thinking about is near a checkpoint of Nero, and then you go into a tunnel, and then you go into the other side of the big map. And so I feel like a lot of times that's what they use for loading and everything, but overall the game loads a ton. It's kind of annoying, but to kind of wrap up my point here, it was that they have weird management in terms of loading cutscenes and loading gameplay. But moving on, inventory. Now I do a little research on this because if I did not do this research about this specific thing that I'm gonna talk about later, that kind of negates this whole issue. Inventory is super annoying to deal with, right? I hate how I can only carry 3 Molotovs. I hate how I can only carry, I feel like with the health it's okay because I'm getting so many crafting abilities to make different things for my health. So even though I can only carry 5 bandages that heal a portion of your health, and then med kits, which I believe heal all your health. I don't use med kits that often because I want to save those for times where I really need it. So I don't really use med kits that much. But bandages, you can hold 5 of them. I know that, and med kits you can hold 3. And so I feel like that is okay. But in terms of like wanting to have a Molotov, or I can't tell you how many times I'll be going out in the open world and clearing some of the freaker zones, and I'll run out of a Molotov. I have to go searching for a Molotov because, as far as I'm aware, where I'm at, that's the only way I can light these freaker nests on fire. Not freaker zones, freaker nests, excuse me, but same thing. But that's the only way I can light them on fire as far as I'm aware of right now. And so that's been quite annoying, having to go around, search for some materials to make a Molotov. And I was looking into it, and there is a tier 4 skill under the survivalist skills section that allows you to carry more inventory, thus including your Molotov, as far as I'm aware, right? That's what it looked like. It looked like you can carry more resources that you can craft. And so that might negate it, but then again, to the same tone, getting to tier 4 skill levels is mad annoying because I believe there's 5 tiers, right? There are 5 strips of 3 on each category of 3 different parts of your skill tree, right? And so to get to the next tier, you have to get, I believe, at least 2 of the first tier before that to get to the second tier. So for example, I opened up these skill things in Days Gone. I have tier 1 unlocked. I get 2 of those. Once I get 2 of those skills unlocked, which take 1 skill point, I move on to the next tier, tier 2 of that skill set that allows me to get more perks and opens up my options, right? But the problem is that we are getting skill points at such a low frequency and such a long time to get a skill point that it is taking a while for me to get any skill points whatsoever. And so that's been a little bit iffy there. So that, is obviously a reason for that. That's why inventory is so low in the beginning of the game, is because you have that tier 4 skill at the end that you can unlock to get more, but it is taking a long time to get skill points, so I'm a little bit iffy on that standpoint. But overall, I feel like gathering scrap and gathering med kits to or gathering supplies to make those bandages have been not that bad and everything. And obviously, and not obviously, but honesty, I'm finding me having to go around and find fuel for my motorcycle pretty consistently. It's not too bad. I feel like that's not bothering me. And like whenever I get run up by different people in Days Gone and they shoot my bike and they cause it to go to 0% repair, I have to go repair it. I'm not finding that so bad, and I think that's because I'm always getting resources and supplies to be able to repair my bike or be able to make a med kit. So I'm not worried about that, but it is a bit of an issue when I can't make Molotovs as frequently as I would like to, and I have to go out and find it. So that's been a little bit in for me, and maybe that's just me not being able to really know where they tend to spawn. But then again, I don't know, usually the hotspots of where we get med kits and med supplies to be able to make med kits and bandages, I don't know where those spawn a lot either. So I think that's just more of like probably the game's fault as far as I'm aware, but I don't know. Next up here, let's talk about the voice acting of Days Gone, because man, this is low-key one of my most annoying things about this game, okay? We have Deacon St. John, right? I'm sorry, my phone's going off, my bad. Deacon St. John, in terms of, cutscenes and the ones that are scripted and they are a complete cutscene, right? Those, he sounds great. He sounds very well acted, he sounds amazing, stuff like that. But it's his voice acting in-game that has me like, what is going on here, right? What is happening? And there are 2 main instances of this, right? There are 2 main things that happen pretty frequently in Days Gone that make you be like, what are you saying, Deacon St. John? Like, what is your deal, right? Number 1 is when you're in combat with, I think, any human. I don't think he talks when he's fighting freakers. I think he may be, but probably a little bit less. But I notice it a lot more because they're a lot more outlandish when he's fighting rippers or when he's fighting humans at a encampment, right? He will say like, "Oh man, you like that, huh?" Like he has such a weird demeanor, and I'm like, bro, like where's this coming? It's very weird. It is mainly when Deacon is like very, very upset for whatever reason, you know, all of a sudden when he's fighting these Rippers, and I get that they're Rippers, and I get that, you know, they, you know, harms, they definitely harm people that are close to him or that he cares about a lot in this world, right? I understand that, but still, it just seems very, very off-putting, very weird. And the other time he acts like this is when Copeland gets on the radio and does his radio show. So Copeland has access to like radio towers or something like that, where he does his Copeland radio show where he says a story about how we should be, you know, double downing on our ideals and stuff like that, whatever, right? And so Copeland, when he's doing that at the very end, Deacon like mocks him and like makes fun of him and stuff like that, and he sounds very angry about it, and I'm just like, bro, where is this coming from? It's very weird to me. I don't know what it is, but there are just certain lines that Deacon says, you know, and kudos to the voice actor for the main cutscene ones, because those ones he does very, very well acting in that, but when he's just in game, it sounds very weird, and I feel like they just took the voice actor of Deacon St. John, put him in a recording booth, and be like, hey, try to emulate this, right? And they were last minute stuff that were going to be for the game. But I feel like the amount of time you're taking up with gameplay, it seems like they should have done a little bit better job on that. I don't know, guys. Maybe it gets better, maybe, but I feel like it's not going to. But loading screens, we were talking about, that was on my list right here. Next up, let's talk about fast travel. Now, fast travel to me is a very messy one, right? Because you need the amount of gas it would have taken you, or at least a substantial portion of that amount of gas that would have taken you to get to point A to point B, where you want time travel, to fast travel, not time travel, to fast travel. I've been watching a lot of time travel videos because of Endgame, my bad. But, you know, like, because of that, you need the same amount of gas, or a lot, you know, of that significant amount of gas to be able to fast travel from point A to point B. It seems a bit broken to me. It seems a bit weird to me. Now, I get it, because they're like trying to fit it into the narrative of like, hey, you know, fast travel is not something that Deacon goes through. It's what you go through. So because that's the case, Deacon would need to have the amount of gas to be able to get from point A to point B, to initiate that point A to point B in the game, in the story. However, you just want to cut it, so we're gonna, you know, cut that and just make that like a, you know, regular fast travel, right? But I think it just doesn't work. To me, it doesn't work. It really just negates the whole point of fast travel. I get it's still there and there's still benefit, because I'm still saving time by the act of fast traveling, so I get that. But the fact that you need the amount of gas is wild. And plus, on top of that, right now I'm at the point where I'm at Iron Mike's camp, right? And so for me to fast travel to Iron Mike's camp, to Tucker's camp, it is so far, and I don't have a gas tank big enough so that the game will not let me fast travel to that point. Very weird. So in essence, I have to go to Copeland's camp, get that trust up to level 2 to be able to buy the upgraded gas tank to be able to fast travel from Iron Mike's camp to Tucker's camp. Sorry, I forgot all their names. And so that just seems weird to me. I don't like it that much. I don't know, guys. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? I just think that fast travel is a bit broken in this game. And lastly here, we're going to talk about the mission structure. Now, I don't mind the mission. Oh, wait. No, actually, I have a big issue about the missions. Before we get into this little one here, some missions are literally just go to a person and they say a line to you, or you say a line to them, and that's it. Very weird. Very weird how that's even considered a mission. Very odd to me. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But they have weird percentages with missions, and I believe, as I was taking this through, making this list, I think that the percentages are for the overall storyline that the mission is a part of, and it's tracking your progression towards 100% of that storyline. I think that's what they're doing here. I think that's what the percent is, you know, and why there's those percentages. But I think it's just very weird to have. I don't like it that much. I don't know. It just looks like there's like too many percentage points. I wish they kind of cleaned it up and just made it very streamlined and straightforward. I don't know. To me, that might not even be a thing. That might just be, I just answered my own question, but I don't like the percentages of missions and that whole storyline thing. I don't really like it that much. I don't know. That's just me, guys. But overall, right? Overall, with all those cons I said, I'm still enjoying the game. I was talking about this on the Cross Circle podcast yesterday a little bit, but I'm still surprisingly enjoying the game. And I really thought I wasn't going to enjoy Days Gone when we got the Metacritic and we got everyone's opinions that were out there, all the issues that were laid out. And I intentionally wanted to know those pitfalls, right? I typically, I don't listen to any reviews of games beforehand until I play it, until I get my hands on it. Then I will go back and listen to see what everyone's talking about. I know if people like it or dislike it, obviously, because you can't really escape that. But I don't go in and read what people think about the game from a detailed perspective. But for Days Gone, I definitely did that just because I wanted to have that perspective as well and try to strip any sort of bias that I could potentially have with this game, right? And I wanted to be able to, if I truly like the game, also know where people are thinking that the game has its pitfalls and where it, allegedly doesn't live up to the hype, right? But with all that being said, with me still knowing all of the issues that people have with it, I'm still enjoying it. I still yearn. Right now, I want to play it. I'm still yearning to play Days Gone, and that was something that I wasn't expecting. So, I mean, right now, with my impressions, I have visions with it. I have flaws with it. I've laid them out. But at the end of the day, I still like this game, and I'm still gonna see it through. I know it's gonna be a long process because apparently it's a 40 to 60 hour game, which a lot of people were not expecting. But I can't wait. I'm gonna play it right now. I'm probably gonna stream when this uploads, when this video is up. But I'm loving the game so far. I like it. I don't know what to say, guys. I don't know what to tell you. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you think I'm biased, if you think I'm wrong with anything, or if I'm right about some stuff, let me know how you feel about Days Gone personally down below in the comment section. Do you like it? Are you playing it? Do you love it? Are you gonna stick with it? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And make sure also, while you're down there, did you get our description where you can find our Twitter, our Twitch, our Discord, all that good stuff down below in the description. Thank you for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.